Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the compact pouch, style number 9620. She is definitely a project bag and she came to me extremely dry, especially all along the edges, and really flat and dirty and just overall in desperate need of a cleaning. So I first started off with my handheld vacuum to get all the big pieces of debris out from inside. It was a lot of crumbs and just a lot of different debris from I'm not sure what. and then I went in with my suede brush to lift up all of the built up debris and dust and dirt from the inside from all the years of love that this bag clearly got, and went over with my vacuum once again to just make sure it is nice and clean on the inside before I clean her with my suede cleaner. I used the Angelus suede cleaner. It's like a green bottle in my toolkit, and I put it in this foam pump left over from just like a random soap product that I had. And then I worked it in with a horsehair brush and went in with some tweezers to pick off any dried up materials. I'm not really sure what was in there, but it's okay, we don't ask questions. And went in with the foam pump once again on the inside and the pockets and all of the little crevices, just to get that product nice and worked in there to clean the inside of the suede. I wanted to make this video a bit more detailed and longer than the things I post on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot, because a lot of people were asking me, what is your process? So here is a more detailed, I don't want to say unedited because obviously it's edited, but you can see here how much I struggle to get these prongs pried up on the hardware. And I wanted to keep all of this in here to give you a more realistic view and understanding of the struggles of getting under these bits of hardware, because I don't want you to see these perfectly edited videos and think like, oh, I have such a hard time getting it up and it looks like she has such an easy time getting up. Like, no, it is just as hard, and this is still an edited video, because if not, it would be like 30 minutes to an hour long. So I just wanted to show you here, this is how I get the hardware off. I use the little phone screen pry bar type of tool. So I use that to get under it and slowly and very gently pry that up to get the hardware off before I went in with my Lexol 1. So I just kind of swirl the Lexol 1 in there before putting my distilled water. And like I said before, we like to use distilled water instead of tap water or even filtered water, because distilled water is less likely to have the calcium and the chemicals that we find in our regular tap water. So after I get the Lexol 1 and water, I set it aside and I stuff the bag. I want to make sure that the bag is stuffed to maintain that nice shape that I want before I go in with the Lexol 1 and water solution. So you can see here, I'm just using my horsehair brush to lather it all up, get some bubbles going, and then I dab off the excess before going in. And you can see how much the bag is just soaking up that water. So I tried really hard to wipe it off as fast as I could, because I would rather it soak up conditioner than the Lexol 1 and water. So I kind of went small little bits at a time once I saw how fast it absorbed into the leather. And then I just make sure I go panel by panel, as you see here, and I kind of give the areas that I think need a little bit more attention just a little bit more of a scrub with a little bit more pressure than I do everywhere else, because some areas were definitely dirtier than others, some areas are drier than others and kind of cracked almost, or like has that wrinkling going on. So I just wanted to really make sure to get in there. And of course the straps are extremely important. The straps are not a removable kind in this one, so I was really gentle. And you can see here I occasionally go in with my little tiny plastic tool to get the verdigris off and go back in with the Lexol 1 and water. And then I use nail polish remover for the more stubborn little marks. So a lot of these vintage bags have like white scuffs for some reason. I've talked about this to other people and we're like, why do they always have white scuffs? Like, what could that be? And we don't really know, but it could be anything from like nail polish from like a French tip to, I guess, wall paint. I'm not sure, but I find that nail polish remover does a pretty good job when you go in just gently with a Q-tip. And then for the hardware, I go in first with my little plastic tool. And this little plastic bit I have here is just a single-use eyeshadow brush thing that but I just took like the foamy part off to be left with kind of a little plastic pointy end, and I just used that to get all the verdigris off. And the verdigris is like that green gunky stuff that you find on the brass hardware. I want to make sure to get that all off before I go in with the buffer. And then I use the buffer to buff the coating off, because this bag definitely had a lot of scratches and the coating was already wearing off. So I want to get the rest of it off so that I can get a really good polish in there. This is definitely not mandatory. This is something that I do depending on the bag. Some bags I will actually keep the coating on there, because sometimes I do think it gives like a nice vintagey vibe. So it really is kind of like case by case basis. But then I went in with my Brasso, and you can see here how much of a difference that makes. Just the scrubbing, the buffing, and the Brasso. It really does just make a huge difference. Then I finally go in with my leather conditioner, and I'm using leather CPR. And I started at the straps this time just to make sure I don't forget them, because I do sometimes forget them. So I started it with it this time. And I just wanted to really make sure to get the straps really nice and hydrated, because they were so dry on this bag. They were like cracking and dry, and parts of it weren't even black anymore. So I really wanted to just do multiple coats and layers. And I wanted to try a new product to me. It's called Chamberlain's Leather Milk Balm, and it comes with this sponge. And I'm showing the camera here how much I put on. And now in hindsight, I definitely put on way too much. And you can even see here, I realized that in the time I used it, because I took a lot of it off. But a little does go a long way, but it's not like Black Rock where it'll make your bag sticky or anything. And it kind of reminded me of like coconut oil. I'm really curious what this stuff is made of, but it did a really good job hydrating the bag. And I wanted to use this on the bag instead of leather CPR today, because I wanted to test out how good it was for dry bags, because I noticed online with other coach restoration, I guess, artists, I don't know what to call them, they really love this product for really dry bags. So I wanted to try it on my absolute driest bag that I had right now. And as you can see here, it did a wonderful job. The bag just loved it and just completely soaked it up. And I really think that this product really did help this bag a lot. I'm curious what it would have done with leather CPR. I kind of wish I had done like one part of it with leather CPR to see the difference, but I just didn't want to, I guess, risk the difference in look. So I went with the leather balm just to get her all moisturized for the first part. And then once I got the first layer on, I let the product sit on the bag. And while it was sitting and chilling out, I put the hardware back on. Usually for me, getting the hardware back on is a lot harder, because you have to get into the pocket of the bag and you have very little space to work with, especially if the bag has like a front slip pocket. But this one wasn't too bad. I got the one on the flap pretty easily because I had a lot of space to work with. And then the inside wasn't that bad as well, because there was no pocket. I just had like the whole bag to work with in terms of space. So it wasn't too bad. And this is just me going over it again and again with more Chamberlain's Leather Milk. And I just massaged it in to the areas that were particularly dry. And I think that's just a great little tip on the areas that you find are more creased or cracked or dry. Just go in with another layer and really pay attention and just give them a nice massage. And this is, I believe, the next day. And I just went in with Black Rock this time. And I wanted to use it on those little areas again, like a finishing touch. And I'm really happy with the results. I'm glad that I went in with it last. I made sure to just give it a really good buffing. And here's a reminder of what she looked like before: flat, dry, and just in desperate need of a really good spa day. And this is what she looks like now. She's not perfect, but you know, I love that Coach bags aren't about perfection. I love that I can still see the history behind the bag. And I love how she got her color back, and she's just looking so good and fresh and ready for the day.